We got to crank up some Metallica this morning because Katie quit. So now we're down 2 Robinsons. We'll see what happens at the shop. It should be interesting. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy. We're making it work. Appreciate you spending some time with me today. We're going to spend a day in the shop. Should be an interesting day. As I mentioned earlier, Katie has quit. No notice. She said, I've had enough. I'm not coming back on Monday. It's just Jose up front. We'll see what happens with all that. It's probably going to be pretty messy, but it's already messy. So look at the place. There's stacks of tires and hundreds of cars out in the grass. And I'm going to put these cores on this dolly this morning and get these out of the way at least. One less thing to be a cluster. I mean, one less thing to be a cluster. I'm going to try not to be gloomy. I was pretty gloomy last week. I worked pretty hard for a 40-hour week. A 3-day week the week before, I did more hours. Go figure. Sometimes things don't go smooth. No matter what, we're going to find a way to make it work. It doesn't really matter what gets thrown at you. Sometimes you might feel like you're peeing into the wind, but you just keep rowing. Don't let the banjos get any closer than they already are. And oh, look at it. There's a hawk sitting on the wire. You want to go see him?
That guy is big. See if he's bothered by me being here. How you doing? You are a big old chicken hawk, aren't you? Looking right at me. He's like, I ain't scared of you. What are you gonna do?
Might not look it on camera, but he's about 1 foot 14 inches long, something like that. He's pretty big. So we're gonna finish getting the shop open up. We're going to learn a thing or two and have some fun. We're going to put some clips in right here so that you have an idea what's going to happen in this video today. You want to do valve cover gaskets on this Escape? I say yep. So let's finish getting the shop open up. Put on a happy face and get started. Stay tuned. Let's get to work. I pulled this Ace van in and starting to take the fuel pump off of here. It says to take the intake manifold off, you have to loosen this line from the back so you can get the pump to clear, I guess is why. Of course, I'm going to try doing it without that. Got to get this electrical connector off of here. Ugh. This runs the regulator built into the pump to control fuel pressure. There's a solenoid on there, duty cycles. I might have to take this bracket off. I think it's pulling on the harness, keeping me from lifting it up more. And then it's the 17 or so. That's the high pressure line, so it's metal. The other lines are soft because they're the lower, the 75 or so PSI. 8 millimeters on that bracket. Look at that thing. I think that's for crash protection or something like that. So it doesn't crash and burn, it only crashes. Break that loose with a 17. Torques. The pump is these 2 bolts here. And then this bracket, I believe, comes out to get to the lifter follower. We got the gaskets from Ford, the lifter from Ford, and the pump is from Standard. So made in Japan. So I'm not scared. The only thing I am scared of is this isn't facing the same way. We'll get the old one out. The wiring harness has plenty of length to it, and it's kind of taped onto itself, so hopefully it won't matter. We'll get the old one out and compare and make sure that they're the same. The big problem I'm wondering is with this and this, it might not be the right pump. Carry on. Ooh, it smells like gas in here. I gotta check and see if that fuel line's dripping. Sometimes there's pressure in the tank and it'll force it to keep feeding fuel. Strange, I don't see it dripping out here, but man, there's a lot of gas everywhere. And you get the follower out of here and take a look at the cam, make sure the cam lub's okay. But I don't suspect there'll be a problem with it, because if you saw the video last week, the fuel pressure was jumping around from like 160 to 360, and it's supposed to be 775. If the cam lobe was wiped out, it would just be consistently low pressure.
No visible damage on it. This is the only concern, the angle of that. No visible damage, that's good. We're going to change it. That's why we got it. I am going to put a little bit of engine assembly lube on it since it's a new part. You don't need a lot of this stuff. I put that on there and we'll let it sit. Little notch for this keeps it from turning, because you got to have that aligned with the cam, right? Boom. Well, the connector's different, so even if it was facing the right way, it wouldn't plug in. The ears on the outside and the pins inside are different, so that's the wrong part. Now I got a big truck halfway in my bay with the wrong part. What are you gonna do? It was probably expensive from Ford, I'm guessing. Someone said, Jimmy, while you're waiting on fuel pump stuff, you want to do valve cover gaskets on this Escape? I say, yep. That's what we're gonna do on this one. I think it's a 2011. Doesn't look like it. She's a little worse for wear. It's a hard-working girl, doing what she can to take care of the family. 154, 266 for miles. A love rating of 3. Let's get to work. Try to make something happen this week. Wasn't that 42 hours I did last week or whatever it was bad? Just not as good as I like. Like most flat rate mechanics, it's more about your effort versus what you made. So you feel like you put a lot of effort in and it didn't match. That's when you get grumpy. But honestly, all of those cars I put the effort into, that's not good. All of those cars I put that effort into would probably go out this week or next week, so eventually they come around. And you just keep rowing your boat, making the best of every day. Just whether you're a mechanic or not, that's what you should be doing. Got my plastic table over here since I'm out of my bay. Truck's tying up a bay, so we're going to, that's not good. Take the air box off, the plenum's got to come off, and the valve covers are, this thing's got some ginormous valve covers. I wonder how this front one fits out. Probably got to loosen the dipstick or something. I might have to go over the procedure. It's been a while since I did one of these. It's a tight squeeze. I'm gonna have to definitely blow some of this dirt and dust out of the way before I pull it off. I had a little bit of a mess to clean up on that high pressure fuel pump job too. Quite a bit of dirt and dust trapped in that little chamber where the fuel pump sits, but we'll go ahead and blow gun the crap out of this one. I'm gonna get this air box out of the way first, then we'll have a better idea what's going on under there. Little clipper doodle. I think that's what it's called in the business. Boom. Man, that thing weighs too. That's a lot of plastic. Now I can see some stuff. Not a lot, but I can see more. Look how huge that valve cover is. Little tiny. What is this thing, a 3.5 or something? 3 liter. The valve cover is the size of a 10 liter. That is one of the harder connectors, the O2 sensor connector down there under the cam drive. Well, it's really the water pump drive from the cam to the water pump. Because you got to get this harness out of your way. And it's connected to something else down here on the front. It looks like maybe like a compressor clutch. Uh-oh, it's down there. Alright, that one that looked like it goes down the compressor or an oil sender down there, which I'm also going to check to see if it's leaking when I get done with the valve cover gaskets. I was able to just pull it around the corner, get the harness out of the way. I didn't have to find out how to get into that. The radiator support where you guys are hanging out is all welded in, and those fans, unless you take the bumper off and lean everything forward, I don't. It's like 2.8 hours, so we're gonna figure out what the shortcuts are that someone did it in 2.8, probably on a car that was 6 months old, I guess. But the plastic's all brittle, of course. All the plastic holders are breaking, and all I can do is tie wrap things back in place when I'm done. So, and the hose, I'm gonna just manipulate the hose as I need to get the valve cover to fit out of there. The dipstick is flexing a little, so I should be able to get past that. The next thing is to get these coils out, and then a bunch of I think it's 11 10mm bolts around the outside. 89 inch-pounds when it goes back together. There are bolts in between the coils too. You got to make sure you get those. They're in there somewhere. If one joint's good, two joints are better. That's what I'm saying. It's either that or take the front end off the car to get to the engine, I guess. Hopefully it works. Usually does. Interesting. Doesn't even mention a dipstick in the instructions. Doesn't even mention it. Not in the way. What are you worried about, crap, baby? I just want you to do something like that. I'm guessing. One of the bolts in the front of the valve cover was loose, like it was done before. It's pretty funny. Well, not funny, but I mean, you know, odd. Problem is the dipstick and the hand control solenoid, they don't want to play together. Something that some people might not think of too, I just wanted to mention, like if you see a little dust around the spark plug area and stuff, you want to blow it out, put the new cover on, back on first with the new gaskets, then blow it out. Right now, when this is all open, this is the bad time. You gotta be real careful. Bad stuff happens. I'm also gonna take a look at all the cam followers and the lobes, make sure we don't have anything that's about to happen. Because once you go in there and work on it, if something does happen, it's your fault. So now's the time to say, is this gonna have a problem soon, and let someone know. These three O-rings that were stuck to the cylinder head are for the spark plug tubes. This gasket's probably going to be pretty hard and crusty. See if it comes out one piece or not. I'm going to have to go to the parts washer, obviously clean some of this crud off of here. Then I'll take the gasket out a little less messy and clean it again. I'm not sure if we're getting the seal for these cam solenoids. I've also seen these valve covers crack around here and leak. And it was damp around it, but it wasn't really wet. We'll see what comes with the valve cover gasket set. You definitely don't want to pop it out so you know you got one if you're changing it. Fail Pro. Actually, I like Fail Pro gaskets. I've had good results, but a lot of people online are bashing them lately. I guess that's the thing about online, bashing stuff. That's what you do. Bash stuff. Well, that's going to be a tight squeeze. He's going upside down, but I just want to see if it's the right size. Looks about right. If you've seen my other valve cover gasket videos, this will be repetitive. I apologize. These rubber dealios comes with new ones. And although these aren't in too bad a shape, but you can still see the height difference. Hope that shows up. But yeah, that's about it to the washer there. Almost 1/8 of an inch. So this is what pushes the gasket down. This part of the bolt bottoms out on the head. After you torque it or tighten it, this metal part is bottomed out. And it can't tighten or loosen at all. That's it, it's done. When these harden, they shrink, and that's when the valve cover leaks. So if you put a new gasket on and you don't put these on, you're setting yourself up for a failure. So after installing one, get these washers lined up, you can see. So the problem too is they go in a specific place, so I'm trying to keep the studs. Looks like it's all studs in the front and regular bolts in the rest of them. I think there's a couple studs in the back here. The way I get these off is I just cut them with my flush cutters. They're super sharp. Like I said, they're super sharp. It cuts so good that I can't see the line. There it is. They peel right off. Not a big deal. Takes a little time and a little patience, but some of this good goo on here. There's 4 spots on this engine. You got joints you gotta put this on. Down at the back where the cam drive comes out, and at the front where the timing cover meets the head. I already just cleaned it off with brake clean and stuff, so we're good with that. Get this on here, we drop this valve cover on. Everything's in place. Got my O-rings on my spark plug tubes. Pushed in as good as it can. It doesn't hold it really great. Got my new seal in for the cam solenoid. Now, we got some things to work this around and not knock the gaskets out. That's that one. Dipstick. There you go. One of those. This goes over the solenoid. Oh, Ford makes that so easy. Get them all started first. Then I'll go around and snug them all up first. Then I'll go around and torque them. I gotta move this stud over to here, because remember that little solenoid thing, that's a, I don't know if it's a noise capacitor for the ignition or something like that, I think Ford uses. But that stud's supposed to be in the center on this stud. Alright, push pins, tie wraps, O2 sensor down there, that's the hard one. That is nasty down there. Got my little capacitor dealio noise suppressor. So, some coils. And the front will be buttoned up. I'm going to leave this out when I take the rear valve cover off. That might help give me some slack. Some coils, we'll get the plenum off of there. There's a brace under here. And I'm trying to remember how I do this EGR. But there's a tube that goes in here, but I think the tube's attached to the bracket. And this is only on here with a gasket and 2 10s. But I want to avoid unscrewing the pipe from the back of it if I can. So I think I'll just take these 2 10s out and leave it floating on the air tube that goes from the exhaust up to the EGR. Oh my goodness, that's not gonna fit. I don't want to get this stuck in the booster. I'm gonna have to unthread it the rest of the way by hand. If I can. Oh, that's not happening. That's better. Just gotta change the angle of your dangle. A couple connectors, I got these hoses off. This connector's off. My brace is unbraced. So brace yourselves. This is coming off of here. Some 8s across the... Look over here. Over here. I don't have to crop it all in. 8s right here. That's something I'm gonna work on, getting my camera a little better angles and stuff, but I really try not to let it cost me too much time at work. But I also know I want to make it worth watching. Uh-oh, is there another brace? Another bolt somewhere? Could be. It's a Ford. They can do almost anything. Oh, it's just stuck. That's all. A couple of push clips. Two bolts on the brace. Silly. The one wasn't going to hold it. What, are you crazy? I was hoping that this rear valve cover would be easier because I got a lot of time in the front one. But it was a fleeting hope. It's going to be about the same as the front, except I don't have to deal with the radiator fans and stuff right there, but there's a lot of push studs and a lot of wiring on the back valve cover too. Like these, they've been breaking. See this one pulled out? There's no center in it anymore. Let's see if this one comes out. All right. Push it in, release, push it out. Allegedly, or do the old pick trick. Ratchet's actually getting warm. Gotta take it easy. I need some room. And this is not designed to fit out of here. I gotta get this out of my way. That's what I gotta do. I might have to get a bungee cord to hold that. One of the best personal assistants. They never want time off. They're never too tired to help. I'll do this one too. Hope I remember all these. There's a lot of connectors I'm taking off. And dress this valve cover the same way. We can't have naked valve covers going around here. I'm not sure if I filmed on the other one. When I take these out, they're hard and dried, so then I chase them around on the floor for exercise. Try to do a couple at a time so I remember where they all go. And then I use the socket to pop that seal out and in. Parts washing activities, and then got the silicone or RTV cleaned off of there. I got to clean the surfaces a little better. A little bit of brake clean on the joints. Get them really good and clean, so you clean your hands. So you rub your finger on it, your finger should be like not want to slide. It's the only way the RTV will stick. Now, that is a tight squeeze. Look at that. That is not a tight squeeze. I hope that doesn't leak, although I can change them later on fairly easy. I don't have to take everything back apart. That's probably going to be a problem. Air cleaner's back on, valve cover's back on, all torqued, connected. Put a little RTV in here just as insurance, but you can see I can get to them if they do leak. I'm going to have to check that when I get it running. Everything else is buttoned up. My O2s, I got to do some of these connectors. And I'm going to do a cabin filter too. It said it was dirty. I'm saying it's not even there. I think that's where it's supposed to be. It's the ECM. That's got to be. Doesn't it have to be the cabin filter? Yeah, that's the fresh air duct right there. When you put it on recirc, it closes. When you put it on fresh air, it opens. It takes air in through here. STP. Richard Petty cabin filter. Oh, that's going to be nice. It's going to be the first time this car's had filtered air its entire life. They put it under the wiper cowl so no one will mess with it. Isn't that cool? The instructions show you it's under the dash. Because they're generic and has nothing to do with what's in the package. To me, I would just either put it in so it's precise to the application, or don't put any instructions in, because they'll have people taking the whole dash apart looking for a cabin filter. But like a lot of things, not up to me. This is going to go this way. Yep, airflow down. It only fits in one way. I think it fits. Hopefully I can fit it in there. Just lays down there on top of the blower motor, I guess, on top of the air door. There's nothing really holding it. There's two clips here. What's that? Three of these little guys. I couldn't find the cabin filter. Some of the guys on Identifix were saying you have to take the wiper arms off and remove the cowl. I'm like, you guys don't know how to make it work. That's like, I was watching Bad Chad yesterday, try to get an engine turning in an old car he had. Oh my god, it was painful to watch. And then he was trying to clean out a gas tank that had like 3 inches of dirt and dust in it. I had to turn it off. He's got 340,000 followers, and he has no idea what he's doing. He's pretty good at body work, but if you don't mind 1.5 inch thick Bondo and stuff. But put the wipers on there too. Didn't film it, kind of boring. They just hook into this little foot on the front. You hook it in, and then you latch this in the back. These squeeze. Nothing too exciting. Let's fire it up. That'll be exciting. I also have to, I want to put it on the drive on and make sure there's no other leaks other than with those valve covers were definitely leaking. But we got to make sure there's nothing else going on. Oil change required. Well, that's interesting. 154,266. Due at 183,132. What? The oil change isn't due for 27,000 more miles. Perfect. We got ways to go. I do have to check the oil level too. I'm gonna move it over to the drive on. And I'll tell you what, it looks like the oil filter's leaking. I'm gonna have to get an oil filter on this thing and clean up some of this mess. So I know the valve covers were leaking, and as long as there's nothing above this, which I think it was only the valve covers above it. Let's get an oil filter on it. I'm positive that thing's leaking. I can see oil running down the case. You can see it right there. Let's open an oil filter, clean some stuff up. It's only like a 1/2 quart low. We'll top that oil up. So after a filter, it'll take a quart. And some cleanup work. This one will be done. Filter wasn't that tight, but I'm changing it anyway. but that filter wasn't terribly tight. I'm guessing that's why it was leaking. I'm gonna put one on and kill 2 stones with 1 bird, and then we'll top up the oil and run this thing 20 or 30 minutes and make sure it's not leaking. Usually don't see them not tight enough. I usually see them over tight. That's kind of strange, but I'm guessing whoever made the oil change sticker probably tightened the oil filter, because the oil change sticker's off 27,000 miles before it's due again, it says. Made a short about it. Get this splash of coolant in it too. Now we run it, verify our leaks fixed. Verify that it's like a brand new Ford that doesn't need an oil change for 27,000 more miles. 183,132. 154,266. I'm not imagining it, right? Someone pushed the wrong number. I'm guessing it was supposed to be 153. That's better. Now that is a nice clean car. 2011 Lexus. Lexus's diamond necklaces. 41,143 miles. That is a very clean car. But the dash is lit up like a Christmas tree. It is the holiday season. Maybe it's a feature Lexus has now. Make you get in the Christmas spirit. You got green lights and red lights, some orange lights. It's very nice. That's actually why the customer's here. I'm just being a wise guy. Let's hook up my my new scan tool. Oh, I heard, did I tell you guys yet? I heard from Top Don yesterday. He said, give me the serial number to your scan tool. We're gonna get you an update. Which is awesome, because I like that scan tool too. Basically, I'm gonna have to make a video about all the scan tool comparisons, and they're all so similar nowadays. They're all really pretty good. I got favorites, and 2 scanners right now stand out of all the scanners I've tested. Even though none of them are bad, my preference would be this one or that Phoenix Light 2 if it was up to date. And he offered to update it, so I got to send him the serial number, see if we can get that, and then we'll just go back and forth. But I'm going to make a video comparison about all the scan tools I have, slight differences in how fast they are and things like that. But I mean, honestly, they really are all very good. App update, I'm not sure if there's an update, but we're going to check it real quick. Latest version, latest version, latest version. Perfect. We'll do auto search. I do like this as a kickstand over the launch I have, the Pro TT, excellent scanner. No kickstand, and it costs a lot more than this one. I'm not sure why some manufacturer just go, nah, we don't need that. If they watch my videos, they'd be terrified to sell a scanner without one. All right, we're going to pull all the codes. This is going to have several engine related codes, TPMS codes. The stability light is on because of those codes, probably, and the park light is on because it sets the park brake automatically. We could actually disable that if we wanted. Look at this poor dash. That's how you know it's a 2011. It's got low miles, but boy, the plastic in the dash is not going good. And this is what everyone rages about online. It's all hard plastic, and much better to have the foam where it feels nice and cushy when you push on it. Well, sometimes it delaminates, so not that if this was hard plastic it might still do it. I don't know. Oh, it's soft up here too, and it is delaminating a little bit, it looks like. Man, look at it, the whole interior is coming apart. It's a shame. Car's only got 40,000 miles on it. It's like the 4 Series luxury sedan. These are super nice driving cars, by the way, too. It's the closest to a European car without buying a European car. Which Cadillac does a pretty decent job of that when they're new, too. Just that I'm not a fan of older Cadillacs. It's like an older BMW. They just go away quick. If you're buying a Cadillac or a BMW, you probably can afford to get a new one every few years. Let's see. Up to 9 of 12. Others. Radar cruise. Okay. Okay. This is going to take a minute. I don't think it'll take too long. This scan tool's been pretty quick, and I think this is a fairly modern 2011. Was it 13 years old now? Maybe it's not that modern. Time flies. I keep thinking it's like 2015. That's crazy. Send a report and we'll come back. I'm not going to make you guys watch this thing do another report. It's not as exciting for me, so I'm assuming it's not as exciting for you, right? Coil A primary, coil D primary, coil F, coil G. That usually means the coil itself, but we obviously got to look at some flow charts and see which direction to go. OBD2 and ECM are redundant. Rough idling current. It's not idling rough, it idles perfectly. Coil A, D, F, and G, coil A, D, F, and G. Rough idling history, A, D, F, and G. Engine EV system malfunction current. Low or high power supply voltage current. Solar sensor, which is in the dash. It's basically this sensor right up here. You can put this over it and it thinks it's nighttime, and you can shine a light on it and it should turn the lights off. That's the quickest way to test those, but it's got codes for it, so it may not be happy at all about it. According to this, it may also have dual sensors left and right. Usually it's right in the center, but air outlet damper servo motor. TPMS 1, 2, 3, and 5 not received, which is a spare. 2 is in history, 1, 3, and 5 are current. Adaptive lighting, as motors move the headlights, and there's codes for those motors. Basically, if a fuse isn't blown and a wire is not pinched, usually you're changing the whole headlight. A lot of people just go, okay, I'm fine without it. Engine hybrid EV system malfunction. Intuitive parking assist. Engine hybrid. This thing's not a hybrid, is it? Maybe it is. It's a big old sedan. Okay, we're going to take a look at those coil codes. I think that's what he's mostly focused on, and that's definitely why the stability light's on. We do have some other issues here too, though. In light of recent events, we've got a new email to send it to, and then we'll come back. Send succeeded. Now we can do two. I showed you guys the other day when the video for this scan tool that you can go online and you can look things up too. Read fault codes. Current. That's interesting. Click on the little magnifying glass to bring us online. Ignition coil pack number 1 nightmare solved. Put it all back together. The 351 code came back instantly. Ran badly. Went into limp mode. I'm going to see if I can get into Club Lexus. Sometimes they make you join, but sometimes you can read it and see. I just want to, you know, it's not, no one knows everything, so finding out someone's experience they willing to post online can save you some time, so why not do that? And what we'll do is we'll get some ideas of what other people are finding, and then we'll be able to narrow our search window a bit. Right hand side headlight. What? We recently put headlights back on. That's not the one I wanted. The heck? Listen here, man. I'm trying to make a video here and you're messing with me, will you? Stop it. Sudden issue with coils. That's what I clicked on. Let's try a different one. 351 coil issue, which means coil 1 primary issue. Usually means there's a little module in each coil. Usually means I'm not happy with the signal the coil is sending back to tell me everything's going on as we expect. So if it doesn't get that signal back, it gets mad and sets those codes. It can run fine, it could run like crapola. Either way is possible. And in my experience, it's coils most of the time. The issue we have here is there's so many of them. We could be dealing with a common ground or a common power from a fuse, something like that. We'll need to definitely explore that a little further before we start chucking parts at it. All right, we got wiring diagrams. The coil codes that we have for primary, there's 4 of them. And they're not all in the same bank, which I thought was kind of odd. I was expecting that if they had a common problem between all of them, it'd be on the same bank. But they're not wired that way. I found a wiring diagram. I'm going to show you guys. It's starting to make a little more sense. He came here with a list of codes he got somewhere. And he asked me if I wanted to see him. I said, no, that's all right. If I need more information, I'll come talk to you. He's waiting in the waiting room, by the way, for this. We have a code for cylinder 1, which is right here, IGF1. What this is when the transistor fires a spark, it also tells the computer, okay, we fired a spark. And every single coil does that. This is an 8-cylinder, 4.6 liter. Every time it fires a spark, it tells the computer, we sent a spark. This one fires a spark, we sent a spark on all these communication wires. It's a 5-volt square wave signal. So if you look at the way this is wired, IGF1 goes into the ECM. Now I printed out a second wiring diagram because they don't give you the pin, which is pin 32, connector E87. So E87, obviously these are all into one connector. You can see ignition coil 1 goes right into the computer, and then down here ignition coil 7 is on the same wire. Down here on this other diagram I printed, number 6 is on the same wire, number 7 is on the same wire. All of them go into ECM on that same connector, pin 32, connector E87. So I'm thinking we got a problem with a wire. It could also be the computer itself. It could also be just odd that those 4 coils all have a bad transistor. It's not outputting to the ECM to let it know. But the chances of 4 of them doing that on the same circuit, I'm going to call no. So basically what I need to do is get permission to get into ECM, do a little bit more digging. It's not going to be covered under a basic diagnostic. It's going to be more time consuming. So everybody has to be on the same page with all that. You don't want to shotgun this and put 4 coils in it. What you could do is move coils around, but that's also time consuming. So we have to get permission to do that. You move the coils around, see if the coils change, if the codes change. You know, if I move coil number 7 to 5, and now I get that code on 5, I know the coil's bad. So the problem is, if we had one bad coil, like say 7 was bad, we would get a code for number 7 not sending the signal in. Even if it was a broken wire, it would just be for number 7. If the wire breaks here, it'd be for 6 and 7. If the wire breaks here, it'd be 4, 6, and 7. So if the wire broke all the way up here and only that 1 was connected, it would not set a code for 1, just for the other 3. The fact that we have all 4 tells me there's something going on between here and here. I mean between here and here. I'm going to get permission to hook my scope up to that wire. We'll back probe it and we'll watch the pattern. And it should be a consistent square wave, and it should look like this. You can see how perfectly square and symmetrical these are. It's going to be a lot more symmetrical than that. Now if we get a pattern that looks like this, then that means those coils are not sending a signal. It's not getting to the computer. So we might have those 4 bad coils. If that signal is going in at that pin, then it's something going on with the computer. So we definitely got to narrow that down. One of the easier things might be just to move the coils, but I wouldn't want to move that many. I'd probably move one of them just to see if something happens. Maybe because I said 7 to 5, we'll see if we can move 7 to 5. Lexus likes the engine compartment to look absolutely beautiful. So I took that big cover off and started digging. Need a light. If I can't see, I know you can't. My coils are down there. I got to check on this firing order, but I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if that's the case, maybe I can get over here and move 7 and 5 without too much rigmarole. And because they're on 2 separate circuits, and that way we'll know if it's a coil issue or something going on with that wire in ECM. I was right about the firing order. So just real quick, I think I can do this while he's waiting. I think this is just foam. I'm going to switch some coils, and we're going to see if the problem moves really quick for tonight, and then he might bring it back if we're going to have to go further. I'm going to get a little pick. These Toyota connectors break. I'm going to pick them up from the bottom with a pick. The minimum I have to get them off. Let's see here, Buster. Oh. I want my friend to see. Don't make me block them with the light. These are super fragile. Ha. Now if I get the other one off, then it's just 2 10s. And you can see back here a ways. Ugh. This is cylinder 5. It's that one right here. And 7 is the one all the way in the back. I like to look at them, make sure they're not burning through or anything weird. Although this code's not for that. There's no misfire codes. I've got a gasket here and a gasket on the valve cover. Only Toyota would double gasket the coils. Let me get these things connected back up. I'll go in the car After you have it off, 30 seconds or so. If this code is a hard code, it should reset in about 10 seconds of running or so. I've cleared them now, so it just says permanent. It won't clear them until it's happy with everything. So it's going to want a drive cycle. I'm going to bolt these back in because I'm leaving them switched. Whether it changes something or not, we'll see. But I don't have to put them back. They're the same. So. Permanent codes, key on, engine off. I'm going to try clearing them again. It's not going to let me, but yeah, it's just going to say permanent codes, read fault code, permanent codes. We'll fire it up, see if we get new codes. And it runs great. So I asked the customer, does it ever run bad for you? He said, no, it always runs great. I just get those annoying lights. And he said too, it's a bummer about the dash. That's the only thing wrong with the car. He's like, yeah, the dash is just dry rotting, coming apart. So too late for that. Read fault code. Very strange. Now there's some data you can look at in here, but I don't believe it shows you that data. You have to hook up to with a scope to the ECM input and look at those little square wave patterns. It has to do it for, I think, 10 seconds in a row, and then it sets the code. But I don't see anything as far as coil signal. I'm going to look again just for fun. And, you know, I like to torture myself scrolling through all the data lines. I could go like this. Coil. Coil's OIL last time I checked, but nothing. I'm just going to take this for a drive. We've only got a little bit of time left in the day. We're going to take this thing for a little drive, see if we get a code and the check engine light back on. Could also be something very intermittent that's not going to happen for me. It's kind of strange. The car is probably not getting driven. Maybe the coils are getting mad. I can bring up individual cylinder spark timing just to compare them and see what that looks like. 7 and 8, that's on, one's on bank 1, one's on bank 2. All that's looking good. No codes. He may have to just bring this back if it happens again and leave it with us. I do not prefer to just install a bunch of ignition coils in it, just in case I might get burned. You know, nobody wants to put a part in the car doesn't need, unless, you know, if the coils were $25 a piece, it'd be cheaper to put coils in it than it would to spend hours with a scope trying to test wiring and ECMs, right? If it was my car, I would probably just put 8 coils and 8 spark plugs in it and see how it goes. But it's not something you want to do to a customer and tell them, you know, here, it's $1,000 for coils and plugs. Hope it fixes it. I at least want to be very, very, very confident we're doing the right thing by the customer. Yeah, there's nothing in here to let you look at those coil signals. Sure would be cool if there was there, Toyota. You listening? Pattern switch. Previous trip. It's not doing anything right now. I'm going to see if he wants to bring this car back, leave it with us, and we'll play with it some more. And car's in nice shape. It has a slight leaking strut in the right front and some deteriorated dash. Who knows why those codes set. We'll come back to it if we're going to go any further with it. Gotta let it warm up, let it breathe a little bit. I'm gonna work on this other door latch. You guys saw the video where I worked on the truck door latch on the right side, right? My project truck videos don't get as many views as my day in the shop videos, but they do okay. Maybe they'll catch on someday when I'm old and gray. Thanks for spending the day with me today. I really enjoyed your company. It's nice knowing you guys that are keeping an eye on me, making sure I stay on the straight and narrow. Turned out to be a pretty good day. We got some stuff done. We're getting closer to getting some of these cars out of the grass a little bit at a time too. So if you enjoyed it, torque the like button before you head out. Hope I see you in the next one. You're awesome.